Hi everyone, welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? Now, in case you're just joining us, we have been in a series called Books of the Bible, and we've been giving introductions into each book of the Bible in just 5 minutes or less. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this week's book. This week, we are in the book of 1 Thessalonians. This is the 8th of the 13 epistles that were written by the Apostle Paul. Paul wrote this first letter to the Thessalonian church from the city of Corinth sometime between AD 49 and AD 51. This was just a few months after having preached there on his second missionary journey. However, upon leaving Thessalonica under duress, Paul, Silas, and Timothy traveled to Athens by the way of Berea. But after staying in Athens for a short period of time, Paul felt the urge to receive a report from the newborn church in Thessalonica, which he started. So what he does is he actually sends Timothy back to serve and minister to the new believers there, because Paul really wanted to check in on the state of the Thessalonians' faith. Mainly because he was fearing that the false teachers might have infiltrated the believers there. But the good news was that Timothy actually came back to Paul with a really good report, which motivated Paul to write 1 Thessalonians, mainly as a letter of encouragement to the new believers. Now, the book of 1 Thessalonians is a short book. There's only 5 chapters. But as we always do, let's break this book down just a little bit further. The book can be divided into 2 sections. Section 1, we're calling Paul's personal reflections on the Thessalonians. This is in chapters 1 through 3. Section 2 is called Paul's instructions to the Thessalonians, and this is in chapters 4 and 5. Now, in the first section of this book, Paul begins the letter by giving thanks and celebrating the Thessalonians' faith, their love for others, as well as their hope in Jesus despite their persecution. Now, Paul continues on to retell the story of their conversion. He's looking back at how they were once idolatrous polytheists that were living in a culture in which all of life was essentially filled with institutions and practices that were honoring the Greek and Roman gods. But Paul also goes on to retell the story of his own mission in Thessalonica and the close friendships that he formed with the people while he was there. However, in the second half of this letter, Paul challenges the people to live a life that's consistent with the teachings of Jesus. This means having a serious commitment to holiness as well as sexual purity. Paul also goes on to address a number of questions that the Thessalonians had raised about the future hope of Jesus. And so, to a group of young Christians with questions and uncertainties, Paul offered the hope of Christ's return, providing comfort in the midst of questions and motivation to godly living. So, how can we apply this book to our own lives? Well, let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever felt as though your Christian faith or your walk has somehow stalled, or maybe you feel like you're just withering on the vine when you would rather be flourishing in his service? Well, this first letter of Paul to the Thessalonians is the perfect remedy for what you might be feeling, because its focus is on Christ's return, which provides us with the water that we need for our thirsty soul today, while at the same time encouraging growth and maturity by providing hope during trials or uncertainties during our own Christian walk. So with that, I hope that this introduction is going to help get you started in the book of 1 Thessalonians. So God bless, and thanks for watching.